Most men are not broken. They're just leaking their power into pixels. Napoleon Hill said, "Sexual energy is the creative energy of all geniuses. There never has been and never will be a great leader, builder, or artist lacking in this driving force of nature." Let's not waste time. Most men aren't ruled by tyrants anymore. They're ruled by urges, not by kings, but by chemicals, not by chains, but by a swipe, a screen, and a surge of dopamine. And the worst part, they think this is freedom. But what if I told you the same energy you waste in secret, the same force that drives addiction and obsession, is the very force that built empires, created legends, and forged destinies? This video is not about suppression. It's about transformation. It's about alchemy. It's about turning lust into legacy. Before you can direct this force, you must first understand it. Sexual energy is not just biological. It is creative fire. It is the will to birth, to express, to expand beyond yourself. The ancient Greeks called it eros, not just romantic desire, but the pulse of creation itself. Carl Jung called it libido, the total psychic energy of the soul. Napoleon Hill called it the engine of all genius. Energy is never neutral. It either builds empires or feeds addictions. In nature, the masculine force is outward, projective, penetrative. It seeks to create, conquer, command. But in our time, that force is scattered. Men trade power for pleasure. They scroll, they tap, they drain, and they wonder why they feel hollow. Most men don't need more motivation. They need less leakage. Never in human history has man had such access to stimulation, and never has he been so numb. OnlyFans, adult films, Tinder, Instagram models, shorts, reels, loops of lust, an endless buffet of flesh with zero fulfillment. This isn't pleasure, it's pacification. You're not being satisfied, you're being sedated. Every time you release without purpose, you trade your destiny for a dopamine hit. The men of greatest achievement have very high sexual drive, but they have learned the art of channeling this drive into ambition, creativity, and persistence. This isn't about morality, it's about power. Corn isn't your problem. Avoidance is. Your life force is currency. Most men burn it for nothing. Long before Napoleon Hill, ancient minds mapped the code. The Taoists called it Jung, the core of vitality. To waste it was to decay. To transmute it was to evolve. They practiced breathwork, retention, inner circulation, looping the energy through the spine to feed the brain and spirit. Carl Jung took this deeper. He saw libido not as raw desire, but as the drive to become whole. He called this process individuation, merging the shadow with the light, turning base instincts into spiritual gold. Jung said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And the Stoics, they said the same. No man is free who is not master of himself. Epictetus. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus Aurelius. The ancient path wasn't about guilt. It was about sovereignty. They weren't anti-pleasure. They were pro-purpose. And you're not weak. You're just drained. So how do you do it? How do you turn lust into a weapon? When lust arises, pause. Don't run. Don't scroll. Watch it like a hawk. Ask, what do I really want underneath this feeling? Often it's not sex. It's power, purpose, movement, momentum. Don't spill the energy. Hold it like sacred fuel. Let it pressure you into action. Use it like rocket fuel. Energy flows where attention goes. Direct it. Write, lift, build, speak, learn, create. Every urge is a signal, but you decide the destination. Turn your discipline into devotion. Cold shower, focused breathwork, journaling, intense training, monk-like habits. Rewire your nervous system to choose greatness over gratification. Without a purpose, lust becomes poison. Ask yourself, what version of me am I funding with this fire? Direct it toward the empire you're building. Every man has a throne inside. Most have left it empty. Why? Because ruling the self is the hardest form of power, but it is also the most divine. This is the return of the king archetype. Not domination over others, but dominion over self. You are not meant to be a beast. You are meant to be a builder of temples, of strength, of discipline, of legacy. Every time you hold the fire instead of fleeing it, you crown yourself. Lao Tzu says, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty." This is not charisma. It's retained power. The kind people feel before you speak. Let's go deeper. Sexual transmutation is not just about retaining energy. It's about reclaiming your time, attention, and focus. Because lust doesn't just steal energy, it trains your brain to avoid discomfort. Every scroll, every click, every easy high trains you to seek stimulation over progress. But mastery is not built in dopamine spikes. It's built in silence, in friction, in tension. Start by tracking your days. Where do your peak hours go? What triggers your urges? When are you strongest? When are you weakest? Design your days to eliminate friction before it begins. No man becomes great by accident. He engineers it. Every hour, every choice. And when you channel that sexual energy into your highest value activities, you don't just become productive, you become dangerous. A focused man with built-up drive and total clarity. That's a force the world cannot ignore. No one fears the man who leaks. Everyone respects the man who channels. Rebuild your identity around this. I am a man who turns fire into focus, pain into purpose, urge into legacy, and then do it again tomorrow. There's one more enemy on this path that most men never prepare for: isolation. When you choose discipline over indulgence, when you reject the easy highs for inner mastery, when you stop chasing what most men glorify, you will feel alone, because most of the world is asleep. Most men fear the silence that transformation demands, and this is where the weak relapse. They trade power for belonging. They'd rather be liked than legendary. But here's the truth. Lions don't run in herds. They run with other lions, or alone until they find them. Surround yourself with men who remind you who you are. Not friends who sedate your ambition, but brothers who ignite it. Find a tribe or build one, even if it's just one other man walking the same path. You're no longer a target, you're a movement. And if you don't know where to start here. Subscribe to Deionos. This is your tribe of warriors, seekers, and builders. Watch every video like your life depends on it, because one day It might. Masculinity, mastery, and meaning are not solo sports. They are sharpened in mirrors and battles. You don't need more followers. You need brothers who won't let you fall asleep. So ask yourself, who around me pushes me toward power? Who around me secretly benefits when I stay small? Choose your circle like your future depends on it, because it does. Now comes the test. 30 days. No adult films. No unconscious release. No chasing. Hold the fire. Transmute it. Train like a warrior. Build like a king. Speak like a prophet. Move like a man who remembers who he is. Let the world wonder what changed. And once you reclaim this power, you'll never hand it over again. This isn't a challenge for the weak. It's a rite of passage. Comment below if you're taking the 30-day challenge. Let's see who actually wants the crown. This channel isn't entertainment. It's your forge. Subscribe not to follow. Subscribe to remember. Stay sharp. Stay sovereign.